I'm a dauber. That's right, I'm a dauber. I'm coming out of the dauber closet. And I want the world to know that, yes, I'm a dauber. I'm a sellout. That's right. I'm a Judas. I'm a Benedict Arnold. I'm a sellout to my former profession in law enforcement. I was a game warden for many years back in South Dakota. I'm not talking about the game warden profession per se. I'm talking about the law enforcement profession as a whole and what it has become, what it has morphed into over the past few decades, especially after 9/11. I mean, it's an abomination. And the problem is it prides itself on being an abomination. But I'm the sellout. I take the secrets and I share them with people who weren't in that profession. I don't even like to call law enforcement profession anymore. I mean, if I'm talking to somebody, I actually find myself gauging them to some extent, judging their worldview and perspective to find out if I even want to let them know I was in law enforcement. And that's not my fault. That discomfort, that tired feeling I have, that's not my fault any more than it's your fault. It's the fault of law enforcement. They have brought it upon themselves. It's self-inflicted, although you'd never know that talking to the people who are in the law enforcement field. If you listen to what they say, we're the problem. That's right. And the worst that we get in our behavior, well, they're just having to ramp it up. Bullshit. Tell that to Elijah McClain's family and all the other thousands of families and human beings whose lives have been ruined because law enforcement came along and willingly and knowingly ruined those lives. Stop talking shit, law enforcement. You have caused the problems. People are reacting to the problems you've created. Being that I was in law enforcement, I have a little bit of a sense of the return that you get when you treat people with respect. When you treat people with at least try to treat them with some sense of humanity. You know, in all those thousands and thousands of contacts that I made as a game warden, I had people tell me the only reason they didn't try to assault me is because they couldn't get mad enough at me. I didn't give them a reason. I didn't disrespect them. I didn't take their dignity away. You know, when you deal with some people about the only thing they have left in life is their pride. It's their dignity. And as a law enforcement officer, if you think your fucking job is to come along and stomp and shit all over their pride and dignity, watch out for the repercussions, because that's one of the reasons why people react so violently. Don't intentionally disrespect people, you dumb sons of bitches. So don't blame us. We're tired of your behavior. I'm tired of feeling the way that I do about my former profession. I'm tired after writing those 2 books and spending almost 4 years doing it every day, going back into it and trying to do the best job I could to help people understand what it means to be a law enforcement officer, because I tried the best I could, to help people understand the law and their civil rights. And along the way, maybe there'd be a cop or two who would read those books, and they'd understand that, you know what, maybe there's room for improvement. Procedural justice, I just talked about in my last video. Procedural justice, coppers. Number 1, treat people with respect. Even after a ticket or whatever, they can come away not hating you. They realize, you know what? I actually don't feel too badly about that officer or the agency, because at least they were polite. They treated me with respect. And the second part of procedural justice, remember that oath you took? Okay, do you remember the oath you took? Don't violate their constitutional rights. That's procedural justice. Respect people, don't violate their rights. It's not complicated. As a matter of fact, that's supposed to be the core philosophy behind law enforcement. Think of it this way, and I'm not so sure that there's many members of the public who understand what I'm about to say. The more that the cops piss people off and the worse their reputation, what do you think that does in terms of public safety? If people don't want to talk to the police, how is that going to manifest? It's going to manifest in higher crime rates. When the people don't like or trust, or some of them hate the police, you think they're going to take the time to report crime? Well, they don't want another asshole to show up. And maybe you have an officer who, well, they reported a crime at one time, but the officer didn't know how to protect their identity. Or he had, a diarrhea mouth, and he let it out who gave them the information. That actually puts lives in danger. But it's more important to make that arrest. Who gives a shit if somebody's in danger? Well, if they don't want to report crime, that also works in the reverse. That when they have information and the police show up and they say, you know what? I didn't see nothing. I'm going back in the house. That's the fault of bad policing. And one of the things that the sheep and the bootlickers and the Karens and the Darrens don't get is how their blind loyalty and this praise that they heap upon the local police department, that actually empowers the department to not want to change. Well, we've got a swath of the community that says we're doing a good job, and they tell us that. The other ones are just troublemakers. Those are the sons of bitches that we arrest. So, of course, they're going to be, disgruntled. So Karens and Darrens and the sheep and the bootlickers play a role in reinforcing bad cop behavior. Come on, people, wake up. Come on now. They have a responsibility. Everybody in a community has a responsibility to hold their local police accountable. How anybody could think otherwise is just, it's mind-bending. We go right back into the heart and soul of procedural justice. There are only two parts to procedural justice, and I just mentioned those in the last video. Treat people with respect and don't violate their rights. Well, right now, I know what you're thinking, because it's the same thing I'm thinking. Now, I know that's kind of a tenuous position to find yourself, but bear with me. What we're all thinking right now is, well, why don't they do it? Why don't they respect us, and why don't they honor their oath and not violate our constitutional rights? And that's the problem. Treat us with respect. Don't violate our rights. We're all going to get along better. You're going to solve more crime. You're going to make your community more safe, not less safe, because you've decided to be a jackass. Don't strive to be a Kay Fisher from Dothan, Alabama. Please don't emulate Kay Fisher from Dothan, Alabama. I had the honor of spanking that son of a gun in Rise of the Oathbreakers Part 2. I even have a little write-up, and I make fun of his little funny G.I. Joe haircut. You know what? Kay Fisher, you have earned my disdain. You see how that works? Procedural justice. Procedural justice. At some point, law enforcement has got to figure this out.